In this video, we're going to learn how to open up a video in Mathematica and crop it. Firstly, very importantly, make sure you've installed QuickTime. And also note that this tutorial uses Mathematica 9. It would also work in other versions of Mathematica as well. So for the first step, copy the URL from the description of this video and go to my GitHub profile and click on repositories and then download this video waveform player tutorial, which has some things that you'll need for this tutorial and some things that you won't need for this tutorial. Just go and click download zip and it's going to save a folder to wherever you specify, and then extract all those files. And once you extract all those files, then you'll have a folder. For example, here, I can see that. You have some things in that folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the address as text and then close that down, open up a new Mathematica notebook, and then set the directory to that. Then put the file name within quotation marks, or the path name. Hit yes, and then evaluate that. So now I have a pointer to my video file, and I'm going to load up the video file. And so the video file is called frog kick 62 Hertz, and that's the frame rate of the video. So I'm going to say, first, I'm just going to ask how many frames we have. N frames equals import frog kick 62 Hertz dot AVI, and then whatever you write in the second argument is going to dictate what data it returns back. In this case, I want to do a frame count. I recommend you do a search, a Mathematica search, Mathematica help search for AVI, and it'll tell you all of the different arguments you can use here that will return various information about the video file that you're trying to load. So n frames, that's 62 frames. Now what I'm going to do is load the video itself as a list of frames, a list of images. So I'm going to say frames equals import frog kick, same as before, 62 Hertz dot AVI, and then this is going to be an image list. Importantly, let's put a semicolon here, otherwise you're going to get the notebook filled with 62 pictures of a frog kicking in the water. So this is a list. The length of that list should be 62. Good. And so we can look at any frame. For example, this frame, sorry. And that's the image you get. So we're going to learn how to crop the video. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to do a loop using the table command and then crop basically every frame of the video one by one within a loop. So what do we need to learn? Well, we need to learn the cropping command. I actually prefer to crop images using the image take command rather than the cropping command. So the first thing I want to know is the size of my video, the size of each frame, so you can use image dimensions. Size equals image dimensions. And then we'll just look at one frame, for example. But there's probably some argument that you can type in here that will give you the dimensions as well. So it's 512 by 250. 512 is the width, 250 is the height. So what I'm going to do is make a little interactive box using the manipulate command. And then I'm going to put image take within that. Because image take is a little bit annoying. I don't know which, I never know right off the bat, I never remember how to make the arguments work out so it's cropped in the way that I want. So I'm just going to have an interactive cropping tool here with a little slide bar, each for top, left, and bottom and right, so I can just use those slide bars and manipulate the cropping of the video dynamically. So, and then once I have a cropping that I like, I just note what those values are. So, okay, I want image take, so let's say image take. And then the frame that we want to look at, I'm just going to define a variable frame equals frames, the first frame of the video, for example. So from that image, take frame, and now what I'm going to do is so image take has two arguments. It wants to know basically the top and bottom in this first, and the left and right in the second argument. So what I'm going to do is say a 1 plus top in this argument, and then comma 250 minus bottom in this argument. And then for the left-right, I'll say 1 plus left and 512 minus right. Maybe I jumped the gun here for a second because we don't really know how this image take function works. So I'm just going to actually, in a different part of the notebook, just show you how that works. So I'll just show you image take, one frame of our video. For example, here's the top and the bottom, and here's the left and right. And these are just lists of the starting and ending points. So we know that our width is 512 and our height is 250. So for the height, I'll go from 1 to 250. And for the width, I'll go from 1 to 512. And that should be the whole image. So if I want less of that, I can change these values, for example. Okay, so that's how the image take works. And so all I'm doing here is just making it interactive, so I can slide around and see how I want to crop my video. So for the manipulate command, for every variable you leave undefined or unspecified, you need a slider. So we need a slider for the top, and that goes from 1 to 250. And a slider for the bottom, that goes from 1 to 250 as well. And then we need a slider for the left, which goes from 1 to 512, and a slider for the right from 1 to 512. So for every structure like this you define, you get an interactive slider. So there we have it. And we can change the top value and the bottom value and the left, right value to crop. And another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to modify this slightly. I'll just delete this frame for a second. And I'm going to get rid of this specification here and then make the frames dynamic. So make us be able to scroll through the frames. So we're going to index out frame. We've already defined that. Actually, I'll just call this F. Okay, so I want to add another slider where frames goes from 1 to n frames. And very importantly, I've added a comma 1 at the end of this structure that says go one by integers rather than in between integers. Otherwise, that's going to confuse the indexing of this. Another modification I'm going to make is I'm going to make a width and a top-bottom variable to encapsulate this information, for example. Just going to make lists. And that'll be obvious in a second why I do that. So I'm going to say top-bottom equals just a list, and I'm going to copy-paste this section of code here. Just put it up here as a variable. Whoops, delete that. Put a semicolon, and then left, right. And same thing, I'm just going to copy-paste this. Copy that. And now just simply I'm going to get rid of this and then replace it with top, bottom. And then left, right will be replaced with this. Importantly, if you have multiple lines within a manipulate command, you want to make sure that every line except for the penultimate line has a semicolon. So this looks pretty good to me. I'm going to try this. Okay, so there's our cropping. We can crop the top. Let's crop the bottom. Let's crop the right. Let's crop the left a little bit. And then I'll scroll through my frames and see if I cut anything off. And we've kind of cut off the head in a later frame, so I'm going to get rid of my right cropping. I'm going to crop a little bit more of the left. And that was too much left cropping because the feet go back a little bit. That's pretty good. I'm going to do some more top and bottom cropping. And it looks like it's pretty good. We're not missing any of the frog at any point in time. So with these slider positions, I can just write top, bottom here, and that's our information that we need from the sliders. And we can also write left, right here. So this is the information we need, our cropping that we just got from this interactive tool here. So I'm just going to copy paste these. You'll see we're going to do a table command, and we're going to say cropped frames, and that's going to equal a table of values. And the values that we're going to have are the actual frames of the video. So we want a table which iterates using the iterator f. F goes from 1 to n frames. So just like in the manipulate command, we can have multiple lines within this table command. The first line will be the frame that we want. So frame equals, I'll call that frame raw, equals frames f, semicolon. Now frame cropped equals image take, frame raw. And then now I'm just going to copy paste these values for the top, bottom, and left, right. And I'm going to put a semicolon there and have it run. So check our first frame. And here we have it. It's a cropped video or cropped image. How do we turn that back into a video? Well, you can export that. So export, call it something frog kick cropped .avi, and then in the second argument of this export command, you want this. So I'm going to copy paste that. And that exports your cropped video, you should do some searching in the Mathematica help to see whether or not there's options for doing compressed video exporting, for example. I hope this was useful.